Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Today, we've got Tariq and Patrice from LegalEase. Could you both introduce yourselves to everybody?
Tariq, go
Sure.
ahead.
Thank you, Patrice. So I'm Tariq Hafeez. I'm co-founder of LegalEase Solutions, based out of the Detroit area in Michigan, and formerly a practicing attorney both in the private and sort of government sector. And very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Chad. My name is Patrice Asimakis. I am also a Michigan lawyer. I serve LegalEase Solutions in the capacity of Director of Legal Services. In that role, I work with corporate law departments in crafting innovative solutions across many different business verticals. And in my private practice, I was both a litigator and a corporate lawyer.
Got it. Very good. And for everybody just to know, like as a Buckeye fan and, Michigan fans, like we've agreed, I think for purposes of this baby, to put that aside, just based on the fact that obviously Michigan with Harbaugh can't figure out how to beat Ohio State. So
oh, gosh.
like that's just obvious at this point. We can have a follow-up at some if that ever changes. But so let's start with this. I've known LegalEase for a while. In fact, back when I was practicing, I used you guys for some projects. I remember that. And so you've morphed over time from the types of firms and business models that you're serving. So I'd love to, if you wouldn't mind, just spend a few minutes kind of talking about the history of LegalEase.
Sure, Chad, I'll take that one. So so LegalEase Solutions, when we first started the business, it really focused on law firms, and we were looking at helping small law firms kind of be competitive with larger law firms. And we did that by providing them with outsourced legal support. So everything from ghostwriting legal briefs, legal motions, deposition summaries, appeals, you name it, whatever a small practitioner needed or a small firm needed, we had a team of lawyers that was able to do that for them in the background. And probably, Chad, what we did for you back in the day was something along those lines to help your law practice when you were in a crunch or you had a deadline looming and you just needed a little bit of help.
Actually, I remember very specifically because it happened that I had an appeal where the issue that needed to be researched and written on was a parole evidence issue, which was the first ever memo that we wrote 1L year of law school, the same topic. And I wanted to try something different. And that's when, we were talking. And so you guys did a memo on all the legal issues surrounding it. It was really cool because one, I knew what the answer was from, 10 years previous in law school, but wanted to see if there was, what that looked like now. And real interesting. It was like the same exact thing. Nothing had been updated because it's the parole evidence rule. So what do you expect? And so it was real fun to because I knew what the answer was based on law school, but hadn't done, looked at it for so long. So this is very specific. It was great. It was a lot of fun to use.
Yeah. And, it's actually, thank you for remembering that. And we actually still provide legal research and writing services to small firms across the country. We spun off that piece of our business to a company called Nora Legal. So you can check it out, nora.legal, and it still provides the same types of services. But really our genesis was doing that type of work for law firms. And till today, I remember the first law firm that I literally cold called. I actually knocked on their door, and my partner and I, we got them to give us business. And that was 15 years ago or 16 years ago, maybe. And that client just came back recently for a research memo. So it's a very fulfilling part of our business. It's a great business. And we really have a lot of aspirations for Nora.legal. But LegalEase focuses more on corporate clients. And, we kind of fell into that early on as a business as well. We were doing some work for a legal bill auditing company, and they had a major automotive client as a client of theirs. and this automotive client was looking for ways to cut costs in their litigation realm. And we presented ourselves, our business model being leveraging, at that time, really outsourcing was kind of our buzzword. So we were a legal process outsourcing company, LPO. One thing led to the next, and we were able to build a offshore team for this automotive client and provide them with regular services on the litigation front. And that opened up our eyes to, a much greater, from a legal spend standpoint, a much greater opportunity. And we started going after corporate clients. That automotive client that we landed is still a client of ours, and we've been able to add, other automotive clients to the mix. But LegalEase at this point, kind of our buzzword or our tagline is engineering legal solutions. And what I mean by engineering legal solutions is no company is the same, no legal process is exactly the same, but everybody has, certain common features. They have certain things that are repetitive, certain things that are costing them a lot of money, certain things that are maybe very time sensitive, and you can throw people at that. And part of what we offer is, we still provide, legal talent from across the world to work on your legal matters. But in the last, I'd say 5 years, we've also become a lot more adept on leveraging technology. So, most of the problems out there in terms of legal process or legal work, there is a technology component that'll help grease the wheels and make things a lot faster, a lot more efficient. So technology has become a big piece of what we consult on with our clients, and also process innovation. Taking an engineer's look at things. And my co-founder is actually an engineer. And when we first started LegalEase, anytime we look at a legal issue or a legal case, he'd always want to break it down from an engineering standpoint and say, well, exactly how does this work and what's the process? And me being the lawyer, I was always like, come on, you can't really, you can't look at law as an engineering profession. You can't break it down into different parts and pieces.
Oh, yes, you can.
but I've learned over the years that you can, right? And obviously it's not a science, it is an art, but you can certainly take legal processes and or legal work and create processes around it. So what we bring to the table is that process thinking, technology, and of course we bring the outsourcing or offshoring, or outsourcing doesn't necessarily mean offshore or in foreign countries. We have lawyers in India, but we also have lawyers in the US, and we bring a kind of a very high skilled, kind of a hybrid team to all of our engagements. So I'll pause there and see if Chad, do you have any questions, or Patrice, if you want to add on to anything I said?
Yeah, so generate a few questions. And Patrice, like one of the things that we look at here is we want to understand specifically, like how do, in this case, like when we're talking about LegalEase, corporate departments, how are they going to engage with you? Because like what you described, Tariq, was the idea of like everything from process improvement and how you handle cases to executing with an outsourced team. And so I'm an in-house legal department. One question off of that is, what do those types of clients look like for you? Are they smaller in-house departments that don't have a lot of, like their bench strength is either growing or purposely small? Or are they like, Microsofts that have so many in-house lawyers that it's just a different model? So that's one. It's like, what do the clients look like? And then two, what does it look like to engage with you? So if we're trying to figure out, okay, if I'm listening to this and I'm an in-house lawyer being like, yeah, we're swamped, and two things are happening. One, yeah, our processes suck because we haven't been able to focus on it because we're growing so fast. And two, like I can't execute on all the stuff. And I like the idea of reducing my outside counsel bills. Like, how do I engage with you at that point?
Chad, it would be my pleasure to answer those questions. First off, when you think about the persona of our, what I'm going to call ideal client, I can't really give you a canned answer because we approach everything in a very customer-centric way. So if we have a client who's a little bit smaller shop, or a client that's a multinational, huge OEM, our approach is no different. We approach both those the same way. So we don't really have that. Our perfect client, if I can give our ideal client a vibe, it's a legal department that's open to what I'm going to call co-sourcing. I know we use the word outsourcing, but really it's more co-sourcing. It's more collaborative. So our ideal client is a client who has a busy legal department, who's open to the idea of, you know what, I know I need some help, bring it.
Right.
And we're here for you. So that's the first part. The second part is it's a really fascinating process for me to watch. As Tariq mentioned, the whole engineering legal solutions aspect. I wouldn't have believed it either if I didn't see it myself. And we are essentially an extension of that in-house team. As Tariq said, we leverage people and we find the right tech solution to gain efficiencies and lower costs. That's easy, that's the tagline. But really, how do we do this? What does the engagement look like? Well, we like to say that we tap into the intellectual capital of the world, meaning we have lawyers everywhere and we will find the right people. We work 24 hours a day because we're in different locations. So we get it done quickly, we get it done efficiently, we get it done at a low cost. And you know, our legal teams, as Tariq said, expand over continents. We start out with ingesting sort of the company's institutional knowledge. Some of that might be on computer files and some of it might be in one's brain. You know, sometimes legal departments aren't always good at documenting their processes, sometimes there's the guy, you know, you got to ask that guy, right? So we take a lot of time doing scoping calls and finding out what is your pain, and we really hone in on what is your pain. It's sometimes I find, this is one thing that I have found that has been very typical, is that legal departments have a hard time cutting through the noise. You know, they have so many things to attend to in any given day. And it's almost like we're a therapist and we can be objective and listen and just cut right in, like cut to the chase. And so what that starts out with generally is a playbook. So we will listen to the legal department and we will synthesize all this information, whether it's from files, from processes that are either very good or awful. I mean, they may be very good, might start with something very good, or they may be just non-existent. And we will write the rules for you. So you have, how does the law affect your business? What are you looking for? What do we have to be on the lookout for? Then we will write a BPG, a best practice guide, that will govern intake, communication, delivery, all those things. Then something that is really a wonderful thing, we are tech agnostic, but extraordinarily tech literate. And what I mean by that is that we are not selling software. We're not pushing any solution on anyone. So we will listen to our clients, and you know, if clients are not really ready for tech, that's fine too. I mean, if they're not ready for it, we're not going to push it on them. But the client himself or herself doesn't have to vet the technology. We've done that. We know what's out there. We know how to use it. We know what's going to fit for you. So by offering that agnostic approach and saying, tell me your pain, tell me your processing, tell me what you want to, what's your objective, we can then sit back and we have, you know, a tech team, a delivery team, an operations team, legal everywhere, and we can come up with a whole new delivery model. So that is the typical way that we would engage with a client, even though no one size fits all, and there is not one type of client that's the ideal client, but that's the flavor of how it looks.
Got it. So I think I know the answer, but I'll ask anyway. When you're talking about this first part, the kind of re-engineering of how the department's working to handle matters, like what does an engagement look like? Are we like, do you have a feel at this point? Like, is it I'm guessing it's a depends answer, but we'll go into like, is it 6 months engagement? Like, what does it usually look like there? Because I can imagine that the people services part of it lasts much longer because that's going to be ongoing kind of day-to-day stuff.
Or Tariq, do you want me to answer that?
Sure.
Sure. Okay, Chad. So I'm thinking of two examples. And it depends, but I can think of two separate examples in the last couple of years. One was an NDA review service we did for a private equity firm, and we followed the process that I outlined for you. And I think in that case, we ended up using some technology to, we built, after writing the playbook, we took the client's playbook and built their rules into a template for an AI tool to expedite the review process. So our team used that AI the humans did the red lines, but the platform expedited that review. And that curve was probably quicker, smaller than another client that we are reviewing, MSAs. You know, there's a lot more going on in an MSA than an NDA. So that curve took a little bit longer. The entire process took a little bit longer. But at the end of what I'm going to call the pilot period, we would continue the work, and it's sort of like a well-oiled machine. You know, in the beginning of the engagement, there's the scoping, there's the learning, there's the writing the playbook, the BPG, there's the back and forth, there's constant feedback calls and touch base calls, and then they become less and less. Our QC process remains rigorous throughout. I mean, that never wanes, but
Sure.
the client interaction, we get to the point where we will only escalate if there is something that is we can't resolve against the rules we know. So
And-
it does get to the point where the client's involvement becomes less and less, and we just are an extension of their team.
And Chad, just to add one more piece to that. Typically, we do a pilot to start up any engagement. It's kind of a risk-free pilot where we're not asking for any kind of a long-term commitment for our clients. For the more, I guess on average, I'd say our pilots are a month long. So it gives everybody time to kind of get to know each other and make sure everything's working. For some of the more complex work, I think Patrice mentioned the MSA work that we did. That was probably more like a 3-month pilot. And really, the whole idea of a pilot is, hey, let's make sure this is working. Let's make sure that the client's getting what they want from us. We also want to make sure that we're comfortable with the work. I mean, some types of work are not maybe the best for outsourcing, and you need to know that earlier than later. So yeah, so typically our engagement starts with the pilot, and once the pilot is done, you hammer everything out into a 1-year agreement. And as a general philosophy, both for our corporate clients as well as our law firm clients at Nora Legal, we make it very easy for clients to come, to get on board and to walk away if they like. We don't stick people to long-term contracts.
Got it. Okay. So you mentioned you're tech agnostic, which again, so do you have, maybe it's not like go-to products, but are there certain things that you like, that you typically are using, certain products that you're using, or favorites, I guess, maybe?
So we do have, so typically in the areas of contract management, data analytics, matter management, but there's others as well. We do have partners. So we've kind of done the work of, scouring the legal tech space and looking at who are the players, what do they have to offer. We've spent literally hundreds of hours of research in different categories of legal tech. And we have engaged certain providers as partners. And those partners are available on our website. And, we're actually launching a few here shortly. So our partners, of course, if we find that the client's need is in line with what our partners offer, we'll definitely recommend our partners to them. But for clients, what our partners have to offer is not what they need exactly. We'll go out and look, further. So when Patrice says agnostic, yeah, we're definitely not pushing 1 or 2 products. We do have some partners that we will absolutely prioritize if it's appropriate, but we'll go beyond that as needed.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So when I first got into consulting for law firms, doing tech consulting, oftentimes the driver for potential clients to pick up the phone or email us for help was at the time, so this is a while ago, so it dates a little bit, but it was often they had an in-house server that they'd gotten a quote for an upgrade, and it was some astronomical cost. And the first question was like, hey, we heard you guys, help implement cloud solutions. We want to get away from our server. That was a massive like lead gen concept, was, would be IT companies quoting, servers unnecessarily. Nowadays, it's things like, lawyers that want to get out of the day-to-day practice and manage the business, kind of stuff like that. And so it's evolved over time. What is it from a legalese perspective that often drives those in-house departments to pick up the phone or email you guys and be like, we need help? What is what's that catalyst for it?
I think oftentimes it's they're looking for some simplicity. I mean, they've got, some are larger corporate clients, they've got legacy technology, and for example, with contract lifecycle management, they may have a system that they've had in place for, a decade plus, but nobody really uses it to its full functionality. They're still not able to search, simple things like search for a contract by its name or by the counterparty. There's no communication between their CRM and their contract management, and oftentimes they're just bewildered. Like, it's 2021 and we can't believe like we're still operating like like it's 1995 or something. So that's oftentimes the catalyst is like, there's got to be something better. There's got to be a better solution to this. Here's what we're looking for, and then oftentimes we're like, believe it or not, exactly what you're looking for exists, and exists in multiple, iterations, and it's
Right.
cloud-based. You're not going to spend a fortune, installing it on your local servers. So it's always fun, kind of giving people like that type of like a response, like,
Right.
yeah, what you're looking for actually does exist, and it's not going to cost you a fortune. Yeah.
Right. They think that they're going to have to engage internal developers or external developers to create something that doesn't, that's
Exactly.
no one's ever thought of before. And they rattle off all these features and you're like, well, there's,
you got three.
Funny you should mention that. There's
exactly that.
Here's a list.
It's interesting, Chad. I hear a lot of times in talking to clients or prospective clients that they almost feel a little embarrassed that they don't know what's out there.
Right.
And I assure them that I hear that 3 times a week. So don't worry about it, because it's hard to keep up. I mean, that's part of our full-time job, is keeping up. It's hard to keep up. And so if you're busy practicing law, that's just not that high up on your list. You're keeping up with the law.
Yeah. Or you take it on and it just consumes, you've got what you're doing already, and then it just, you can never get to the final result because you just start to realize there's so many options out there, and you don't want to keep looking. And it's, so absolutely. So yeah, that's the trick. Once you start, because oftentimes let's say, corporate counsel through different trade groups will hey, get an article that says, here's the latest and greatest on this, but then they start going down the rabbit hole of things. So for example, I was working with an in-house department recently where the drive, one of the first things they wanted to look at from a contract management perspective was like the AI component to it. And as we go out to all these different vendors, then all the vendors are like, well, let's not talk about the AI part. It's just not ready. It's not ready for showtime yet. And everybody's kind of backing off of it. And so they're getting all this good information from, their group saying AI is here and it's real this time. It's not like, 3 years ago when we're just talking about it. And so it just creates a lot of confusion on that front. So, so it really, what you're helping in some ways is short circuiting somebody's internal job that was tasked by maybe the GC or the CEO to say, fix all this. They start looking into it and are just like, there's so much going on that it will be, quicker and more cost effective to get some outside help to figure it out.
Sometimes Chad is as simple as helping them schedule a demo with one of our, of our partners. And we had a situation recently, Patrice, this is a client of yours, or I think they looked at 2 different softwares for matter management, and they loved it. They loved one of those, and they're extremely happy. And our engagement was really just introducing them to a couple different ideas and solutions, scheduling a demo for them. And we don't even charge for that. That's not, we don't really take consulting fees on helping find them the right tech partner, unless it's something kind of above and beyond where they want to look at, a couple dozen technology providers. But oftentimes the tech consulting is something we do pro bono, is, just a way to provide support. And of course, we're looking to build relationships and find other opportunities with clients.
Yep, absolutely. Cool. So last topic I want to talk about here before we let you go is, we're recording this on April 5th, 2021. And, depending upon what part of the world or what state you're in, maybe the pandemic counts, maybe it doesn't. But, it's still really helpful for one, other businesses to hear how others are doing in managing internal, processes, their people, as well as what they've seen on the outside as far as their clients are concerned. So would love to hear, one, what did you all do over the past year and ongoing to kind of deal with whether it's work from home or managing a team? I know your team's been distributed for a long time, so I'm interested to see kind of the dynamics there. So on that front, on the internal, but then also, what have you been seeing from clients as a result of this and different ways you can help them?
Tariq, I can start out. Maybe you can add on if you'd like. So Chad, I hope I say this humbly, so I hope it comes across humble, but we were born for this. I mean, we just were. The thing that has changed for us is that we don't get to see our clients live the way we'd like to.
Right.
We used to go to tech shows and we'd have to fly to go see them. They're not all here, they're all over. So we miss those in-person meetings. So that aside, we've always been a remote company. I know some people now are saying cloud-based, they're not using the word remote, but we've always, we've existed right from day one. For coming up on 16 years, we've existed to ease the burden of the lawyer, the law firm, the legal department. Our services have always been high quality, super affordable. I think the pandemic pushed, I don't want to say the rest of the legal community, because maybe it's not everyone, but the pandemic pushed a lot of the legal community forward. And that now lawyers, even though it may have been something on the wish list or on the to-do list,
Right.
now suddenly it was in their face. Like all of a sudden, they had to take their cue. How do we operate leaner? How do we automate? How do we best use technology? And we were ready. We were like, here we are. What do you want to know? Come on down. And I mentioned to you before we actually started the actual interview, but I mentioned to you my husband. So I live with a very, very busy lawyer who has been practicing law for 30 years. And the way that we used to practice law, wear a suit, show up at an office live with people, interact with people all day, client meetings, closings, court appearances, hearings, depositions, lunches. I mean, that was his world. And when, everything hit, he scrambled. His whole firm had to pivot. It's a very large firm, and everyone now is going, what is happening? But my life, other than, as I said, we don't get to see our clients the way we'd like to, nothing in what I do in my work has changed. I mean, we've always done this. Now, the one thing that I have noticed, I do think our clients have a new appreciation for what we do. I think that our clients are now looking at us going, you've been doing this, you got this. And it's a greater appreciation. That's nice. Right. But really, I don't want to speak for Tariq. I'd be surprised if he disagreed too much, but I don't think the way we work has really changed.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think internally, definitely, we've always been a to borrow your term, Chad, kind of a geographically distributed company. We do have, a couple main offices, and all of our folks, both in the U.S. as well as in India, are working from home. So it is a slight change, but I think we've taken it more as a opportunity. It's just like all the other big companies. Like, hey, what do we do after the pandemic? Do we still have an office, or do we let everybody work from home, or do something in between? I think we're going to end up doing something in between, where there's a little bit of a hybrid kind of a work model, and I think that's been a great thing for us. And of course, working remote from home, we've had to invest more in security and data privacy, and all those things are really important to our business and to our clients. So that's been something that we've had to deal with, probably more accelerated than we would have otherwise because of the pandemic. As far as our clients, one thing I've noticed is when the pandemic first hit last March, April, a lot of our clients or prospective clients were literally sort of shocked, sitting at home, literally, and they were open to kind of hearing about, wait, like tell us about, how to do things differently. So we actually had a lot more meetings and conversations last year, after, post pandemic, than we've had perhaps ever historically. Just a lot more receptiveness, and frankly, a lot more time on people's hands to talk to us.
Right.
And things have changed, although the pandemic, we're here in Michigan. Unfortunately, the numbers here are once again, crazy high. Although the pandemic is still here, I think business has moved on, and lawyers are extremely busy now. It's amazing. Like, I think so this year, as compared to last year during the pandemic, we're finding that our clients are not as they don't have as much time on their hands to sit down and listen to us about different strategies or opportunities. They want to get cut right to the chase. Like, tell me how to do this, tell me how to do this cheaper, or tell me how we do this more effectively. But I don't have an hour to do a demo with you either. So people are a lot busier now, which is great. I mean, people are back to work. But I think that general sentiment that there's got to be a better way to do this, I think we're still seeing that lived out in our clients.
Very good. Well, I appreciate both of you taking the time. We'll put this in the description and everything, but what's the best way if folks want to reach out to get a hold of you?
LegalEaseSolutions.com is our website. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, and just a few clicks away.
Cool. Well, thank you both for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Chad. It was awesome talking to you.
Great talking to you, Chad. Take care.